Go on.
24th.
Oh, huh.
Hey,
Make
hi,
me up there.
hey, hi, hey, hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Hey, hi, hey, oh. Hey, hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Hey, hi, hey, hi, hey, hi, hey, Fort Beck Community College, Ukiepino, yo, me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo, wata, pebi, hagi, ktabi, ichachi, ya, bino, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, ya, hey, hi, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, ya, yo. Hey, hi, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, yo, hey, yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ukiepino, yo, me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo, wata, pebi, hagi, ktabi, ichachi, ya, bino, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, ya, hey, hi, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, ya, yo. Hey, ya, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hey, oh, hey, oh. Fort Beck Community College, Ukiepino, yo, me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo, wata, pebi, hagi, tabi, ichachi, ya, bino, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, ya, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, ya, yo. Hey, ya, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi. Hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, hi, ya, hey, ho, hey, yo, hey, yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ukiepino, yo, me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo. Wata, pebi, hagi, tabi, ichachi, ya, bino, hey, yo.
Oh, matakupi, Yushkewan Chian Kampi, Chantewashtea, Johanna Pech, Uzapido. Okay, Elijah Hopkins Demie, Wanawak Chinjawak Pa Wonspe on Kantu Yadechia, Diana Hipido, Daukepi. Hello, everyone, again, and welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast. I'm Elijah Hopkins, and we're streaming at you live from Fort Peck Community College here on Thursday, May 13th, 2021. Again, our Buffalo Chasers podcast is here every Thursday from 3 to 4, talking some good things with our relatives here. We have Mr. Tommy Christian, we have Mr. Earl Bullhead, both in the house. So we'll get started maybe with a prayer again. Ask Nekshi Wamnisha Gay if you would share a prayer with us. Then I have a few announcements after that. We can kind of get started like that. Pirama.
Hechetu dai chano toshka wopila chicha. Nahama pitak mitaki epi ushimalo kchewi chashamelo. Ambetukile michante tau aglake nahana pechuza pelo. Naha hohe chaje mitra wamnishage doba ima chiape. Ushimalo omakia agnagupta omakia naha ochikia ambetukile. Aha he atukashila na wakantanka dadeuya doba unchima kana makaina. Nakumitaki apiwanagi makpea ktaya ge hocho ka kta hiopo. Ushia kemitaki api tiwahe tawa na tioshpe tawa owi chakiapo ushiwi chalapo. Atukashila wakantanka na oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani owi chakiapo ushiwi chalapo. Atukashila na wakantanka Gixiapo mitaki api winuk chalapi wichak chalapi na wankaya japi na hokshila api winchin chalapi na kushkapi wikoshkapi chanku washte upi wichozani upi okiawo ushu chalapo. Na tukashila wakantanka Gixiapo mitaki api agichita oyate kizuya ekta. O wichakiapo ushu wichalapo wichashabile na wiapile anaha. Chanku washte upi okiawo ushui chalapo. Atukashela wakantanka na okiawo na ha kiksiapo mitaki pinaha hamblechia ekta wichashabile wiapile naha okiawo ushui chalapo. Naha kiksiapo mitaki pinaha tibitanga hecha naha winwayangwa chipi Gduya naha okiawo wichashabile wiapile koshkape wikoshkape hoka he chante washte upi nasu washake upi o wichakiapo ushi wichalapo. How mitaki oasi.
Oh, Padama. Oh, Padama. My relatives, we are at week number 33, I believe. And what we try to do every week to encourage participation, kind of get the word out, is we try and have our weekly drawings for different prizes. We have some Kindle Fire tablets and again, some Buffalo Chasers jackets. And so the way that you are able to get in that drawing is if you're on social media, following us on the Facebook live feed. For those of you that are there, put your name or give us a like, give us a share. And that's how you kind of get your name in the hat for this drawing. And so for last week, week 32, the drawing winners are for a Kindle Fire tablet. The winner for that is Sheila Ryder.
Yes. Make it go longer, Toshkat. Keep it on there. I can't hear it. Keep going. Keep going. It just cuts out. Can't hear it.
Still can't hear?
Uh-uh.
Oh, what the heck?
It just comes on just a titch.
Technical difficulties.
Gotta give him a roaring.
We'll have to do it in-house with Earl and Tommy and me.
Yeah.
So again, Kindle Fire tablet winner, chick winner, Sheila Ryder. Congratulations.
Okay.
We also have Buffalo Chasers jacket. Buffalo Chasers jacket, ladies and gentlemen. Joseph McGeeshick, winner, chicken.
Wow, Dr. Joe. Hello. Yeah. Hey, good job there, Tahashi. Okay.
So, relatives, another quick announcement. If you could do us a favor, all of the students and employees that if you could check your employee or student email, a survey was sent out this morning. We're trying to get some feedback on some of the services that we're providing to students, but also for the community. This podcast is more specific for everybody, for our students, community. It doesn't matter if you're a local employee, if you're on the board, if you live over wherever, if you're a distance learning student, we'd like you to fill that out. It just takes a few minutes. Get your name in that for that survey. That way we can determine how to provide better services in the future. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. If not, I do believe we also put that survey link on our Facebook page. So just click that link, take you right there, just a couple of minutes. So with that, relatives, again, Uncle Tommy, Uncle Earl, appreciate you guys joining us here. Wherever you guys want to take the conversation, I know we talked a little bit about some mental health stuff and being ikchea. So I'm all ears.
Oh, hey, Toshka, I know what I was going to ask you. Doha na mazaska unko na wayawa oyateki wichashapi na uyapi. Dohan.
Mazaska. I mean,
that 500, that extra 500.
Yeah,
Dohan.
For those of you that were in that student leadership development program, that other half, that hanke, that other half, will be dispersed at the end of this semester. So this week is finals week. So the 14th is the last day of this week. And so next week, I believe we'll try and determine who's still with us. But yeah, I will send you a big old fat Buffalo Chasers check, man. And now I know who to go hit up for a loan.
Yeah.
The life is
$100.
Yeah. At least a hundo, Doksha next week. But yeah, that other half of that 1,000. So it should be a $500. Those are the cool things. If you're a part of this Buffalo Chaser, Tioshpaye, Okoda Giche, then we can do some cool things like that for our students. So just FYI, we're going to try and do some more services this summer and then into the fall. So yeah.
Okay, and then also, Toshka, we got those two boys, Preston and Elijah, coming over here to try to help us out. Was you able to get a hold of Sunny by any chance?
No, not yet. I didn't give him a call today, but I believe she's with community service. I'll give him a call.
Yeah, and then just so we do it formally, like we need to request them for those two positions, because they'll definitely be a help over here, because we're wishing to record all that stuff, eh? And then Judy wants to make sure that they get practice on the camera and whatnot. So yeah, that'll be good. That'll work out.
Sure.
Patch it too. I apologize to all of the students. Me and Toshka don't have very much time to visit during the day, because he's doing his stuff on the. Is that me? Or is that Earl? I think that's you, Toshka.
That's your pacemaker. You better check it out.
Somebody's making noise. It's not me. But anyway, remember now, all you students, next Friday, I believe, at the 21st is going to be. Is it Friday, Toshka? The graduation. Yeah, it's going to be on 21st. It'll be at 2 p.m. At the Wolf Point High School, I believe. Is that the word I got? I got my invitation right here. But again, be aware of that. And the reason I mention that is because for some of you, these are some of the milestones in which we choose to achieve throughout our lifetime from a more contemporary perspective. And so in that, aspiring to that sense of balance, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is the importance of developing one's character based on experiential teaching, that abstract learning process, and how it applies to and how to make you a stronger person from our perspective. And again, it's going to help us out to understand the inclusiveness or the involvement in our own communities, whatever community we come from. How can we be an addition to that whole prospect of making our communities better? And that's what we're wishing to do here from a community college perspective, representing the Buffalo Chasers Society and learning how to go beyond the fear of oneself and realizing we have a purpose and a dedication and pursuing that, not for our sake, but for the sake of others. Oh, man. Can I get a hallelujah? I'm preaching, Tosh. Help me out. There you go. There you go. Okay, so as we do these things, that's what we wanted to talk about a little bit today, to help us understand how we can apply some of these issues. And again, it's really important to understand. And this sort of, how would you say, not so much, what's the right word? I want to say spiritual, but it's not really ceremonially spiritual. It's just a commonness when we approach these things. And to be of the utmost common person, it's important that we remain apolitical and apersonal. And can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Oh, are you good?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's important that you remain apolitical and apersonal in regards to strengthening yourself from the inside out. And then there's nothing wrong with strengthening yourself from the outside in. But as we address these issues, we come to find that uh, to acknowledge that diversity that is represented, especially when you live on a reservation, you begin to understand they're not imbeciles. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. They have they're very capable of being intellectual as anybody, but yet they call it being stoic. Okay, and what that should represent to you when you see an individual that is a believer that we are indigenous to this land is when we're stoic, we're being very deliberate in the manner in which we approach this life. And so, in that deliberation, we understand the importance of going beyond that fear of oneself and of all things that are out there with the understanding, with the spiritual energy or God or the creator, whatever you want to refer to them as. If that spiritual energy is on your side, who can be against you, sort of an attitude? And we call it woichada, that faith or that belief in yourself, representing the humility, blehichia, of your humbleness to that higher power. Okay? And so this is why it's important to think a little bit differently. Again, and we stated a lot of things for those of you that have been involved for this whole period of time. And we have, Elijah, we have some committed individuals that were really involved throughout this whole thing. And you know what the coolest thing is? The majority of them were Wiampi. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wrong.
And so that's the thing. And they're representing that strength, that the reason why we Dakota and Lakota hold them in high regard with some sense of reverence, and in respects to that. And so, yeah, that's an indication, and that natural law, that process of natural law is something that we need to look inwardly and understand. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I can relate to that, and not to become better than anybody, but become more open-minded and having and maintaining that ability for the sake of our integrity or our existence, whatever the case may be, that we can do these things, what with the proper guidance, and again, that's what's first and foremost, you'll hear me say things that we nuk shalapi na we chak shalapi won't spekia hemitawa. And what that means is these older folks that I hold dear to my heart, the men and the women, are my teachers, and so I had a great an opportunity to listen to them, and at the same time you're doing the same thing by respecting the teacher. Won speakia means teacher. The teacher in the room. You're humbling yourself to that knowledge that they're sharing with you. And in that, you can apply that towards your growth and to helping you understand the importance of the common sense that we also are striving for as it relates to that intellectual perspective. And I say that also because of my nephew here, Elijah. He's pursuing a doctorate, and we don't want him to question himself as it relates to, well, is that Indian enough? I don't want to compromise my Indianness. Do I sound like him? No. Oh man, can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But but and see, it's like that. It's not. We're not pursuing the right way or the wrong way. We're just understanding the importance of critical thought, taking the initiative and stepping up and following your purpose and your dedication, your of what it is that you were put on this earth for. And if you don't have the belief or the faith in this higher power and you don't humble yourself to that guidance in that direction, man, life really seems to get rugged, Because again, We think we know it all. We think we got the answers and we can control it and we have dominion over my own world, blah, blah, blah. And in all reality, we don't necessarily do. We're just humble. Ekchewi chasha, ekchewi, yeah. And in that, we're just common people. Just as soon as we recognize that, then we're capable of applying all that we're wishing to share with you in a good way, in a respectful way. We're not wishing to impose or infringe on your right to exist, but we're wishing for all of you, um, if you're Indian or non-Indian, that because we live this way, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, but it would be great if you could understand our way of life as well, because that enhances your worldview as it relates to wola chota makasito mani. And what that means is peace all over the universe. Eh? And it's got to start somewhere. We're that first grain of sand in that big old sand dune. We're that one grain of sand that's gonna start that whole flood of sand coming down, but with some love, some caring, some sharing, some compassion, some generosity, some patience, all that good stuff. We're going to be representative of that if we can try. And what they say, nak e nulawa'u, prepare ourselves for ultimately getting to that next milestone in our life. And like me, I got more past than I have future. So I'm kind of getting ready for that. But at the same time, nak e nulawa, it's in the literal translation is you're prepared for anything. Okay, that's what that kind of is in reference to. And so in this case, in a spiritual context, you're preparing yourself for that mystery of death, not to fear it. And then we're doing that because we learned that when we want to prepare ourselves, we're good to everything and everybody as well as we can, as well as I can, not as well as somebody else wants me to, but as well as I can, because that discipline of being consistent in that respect, it's really tough because there's outside influences, outside talk, outside pressures that will kind of control your character. But as long as we are strong enough to represent something other than ourselves, such as the Buffalo Chaser Society, then we realize, hey, it's a sense of belonging that I really enjoy and I'm a participant of. I'm acknowledged in that way. And yeah, and that's what the Fort Peck Community College has shared with me. So, and so as we do these things, that's what we're wishing to share with you. And I know that Chie Nietzsche Ole has something to share with us as well. And he's really faking work over there. Look over there, like he's looking for something. He ain't looking for nothing. He's falling asleep. You chakshala heni and why not Chie? Gikta wo. Agnagopta wo.
See this pencil and you put up it powerful, man. Put every word that you said, the shorthand all the way down.
Holy great, just writing fast. But
come on, bite you later on.
But he's kind of taken on that attitude of remember Hugh Hefner always used to walk around in his bathrobe look chie.
I have to lock my doors there for him.
But and again, that's kind of basically where it's at. This is the discussion. This is what we'd like for you to kind of, I don't know when Toshka Elijah is going to ask for that little interview, a couple minutes of what you learned, but just kind of think about that. And then you'll receive the other half of that $500. And you don't have to do it online or anything. You can do it with Elijah on a personal level or whatever, or in chat or whatever. But we just want to acknowledge that we didn't go above your heads. We could teach this all to you in a day and just real fast like that, but it would probably kill you. And that's what the old people told us. We could share all this in one day and get it in your brain, but you'd think yourself crazy. That's what they'd say. So we kind of piecemealed it out. we kind of addressed it accordingly. There's a method to the madness. And then as spring comes around, we're going to start getting into these land-based teachings. And of course, it's of your choosing. If you'd like to come, we've got a couple of boys going to come and help us to video. I'll get the van or a pickup, and we'll go out to these sites and actually have some hands-on things. And so we'll have a little lunch along with us, enough water or pop or whatever the case. But we'll make a little excursion of it as it relates to understanding the importance of connecting yourself with Mother Earth, and of course all of these things that are representative of this healthy lifestyle and this healthy way of breathing fresh air. And Chie, maybe you could talk about uh, the origins of Pao, like what we were talking about the other day. Ladies and gentlemen, my relatives, we always thought that adorning ourselves in our finest regalia was what it is, the beadwork and everything. But initially, and Che will talk about it, had to do with roots that were important to us. We'd adorn ourselves with that, branches off tree grass that was important to stuff like that. But I'll let him expound a little bit on that, because we were common people with a common mindset of understanding the importance is to manage our resources through taking care of our Mother Earth. Oh man, that's that, and see, that's what natural law is based on: survival. It's very instinctive, but yet we don't want to hurt anything. What did Dalai Lama say? Uh, be kind, and if you can't be kind to them, don't hurt them. Make sense? You see, and so in that process, we live like that, but we don't have to virtual signal it. Oh, I'm such a good guy, and oh, I'm this, I'm that. You don't do that in our way. We just live it, and by living it, that's a lot of self-respect. It shows high self-esteem. It shows a lot of self-discipline, and not having to go and brag on yourself. But in my case, I could do that because I'm Eapaha. Uh, Robert P. Four-star give me that right to speak in front of people about my relatives that are coming. And so that would be my duty, not talk about myself, but to talk about the good things that they do. And of course, one of my brothers, Russell Standing Rock, shared with me, he said, my brother, as an MC, everybody has something good about them. And as an MC, it's up to you to find out what those good things are and then talk about them in that way. Then you're not lying, he said. And so, I had a lot of teachers, Mike Hotaya, Russell, Ken Ryan, various other people that influenced me. Benji Greyhawk was the one that initially started me out on this road. And so I'm quite thankful for those individuals. And so it's not me necessarily talking like this, it's all of them. And so that I can share that with you. So, Chie,
Oh,
how are you feeling?
shit, I was
Oh,
just kind of contemplating about what we what entered my mind when you were talking was I made a notations of a few things I like to talk about. One of them is
why not?
it's all interrelated to what you're talking about. When you're growing up in a world where you speak nothing but Lakota, and I can say Dakota too because one part of my family spoke D and another part of my family spoke L. I was raised by my grandma Mary. I went around her a lot. She made my outfits and encouraged me to dance and stuff. She spoke Dakota.
Oh,
So anyway, so I see myself, applying my work in both dialects. Anyway, one of the things that I experienced, not only through the government system, boarding schools, and all that stuff, but the learning process in which you were raised,
mhm.
there were lots of issues that you have to go through because it was confusing.
Yeah, yeah,
Not only systematically, but our languages are totally opposite of each other.
backwards.
You want to express yourself in such a way that
Yeah.
your translation is understandable for others.
Oh.
It requires skill.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so one of the things I had a difficulty with was fear of wisdom. And what I mean by that is from getting advice from others. Very suspicious nature.
Yeah.
And what brought us to that was a lot of the negativity that was going on.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be hanging around with those guys,
Yeah.
or they're just a whole bunch of drunks. And this was ingrained in put in our own families. I would walk by the park and I see my uncles because they're my dad's brothers.
Yeah.
In our community of Rock Creek and Bullet, where I was raised, everybody was called it like she or Tony,
That's it too.
you know.
Oh,
So, you know, that was a way of life. But when it moved into another dominant society, there was other principles or other beliefs that come into play, and you say, well, what am I going to do with what I've learned?
Yeah.
And you still haven't learned to keep that balance in, and you're far from it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was very mistrusting of history,
Yeah.
because what I was told had a different, more meaningful translation than what books were telling us,
Yeah.
especially the pronunciation of words.
Yeah.
In other words, they were slaughtering our language,
Yeah.
butchering our language, and there was a lot of us, a lot of people then at that time were guilty of it.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is go back and look at documentation that was written, and even down to the phonetics of it all. So anyway, so I had a hard time obtaining that knowledge, and this is all through boarding school, pure Indian school, Wapton Indian school, and the high school, public school. You made a transition.
Yeah.
And in that transition, went to school, you still weren't capable of mastering the language.
Yeah.
You had to make an effort to try to get good grades and all this, but yet your mindset and ingrained quality wasn't quite there.
Yep.
And so there was still a lot of mistrust. And so you grow up with it, and then suddenly you reach that self-identity crisis. You know, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do now? I'm out of high school. You know, so
Yeah.
my brothers and other friends that grew up in the area, majority of us never went to college.
No.
After high school, that was it. And we attempted to, but we just didn't have the academic abilities to be able to succeed. Our English was poor. Our ability to be able to retain information wasn't the greatest. And there were a lot of effects to that. The way we ate and the way we, lived was kind of a detriment, because we weren't getting a lot of positivity.
Yeah.
So here you are trying to figure out who in the heck and what am I going to do. So a lot of my friends joined the service.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for myself, discovered that I couldn't go in because of my heart.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate to be around this long. I went through a turtle ceremony where I participated in a longevity ceremony with the old man, the Felix Scumper. Those things remain very, very imprinted in my mind of what I experienced. Yes. And so I started thinking, I said, well, the first thing I have to do is what I have to do about accepting advice. What do I have to do? So the first thing I remember is that I was always told, that I understood right to the T.
Yeah. Easy enough.
Sit down. I'm going to tell you something. And you're going to learn from it.
Yeah.
When you go in the classroom, you do chapter 4, you do chapter 5, chapter 6, and take the test. Well, what the heck? I mean, there's more questions to what was, I didn't even understand what the heck it was all about. A lot of the terminology, I had no idea, Yeah. Osmosis and all these things were shooting at you. I don't know,
And they talk about context, hey?
Yeah. So it was, did my best.
Yeah.
I mean, and got through high school. And when that identity came in, the frustration, the disappointment, and all this brought in another world, a world to walk in where you don't have to give a darn about anything. And so I started taking it out on the system. It became part of some of the concerns in the community about our relatives were being treated. And so American Indian movement came into McLaughlin,
Yeah. Yeah.
regarded as one of the racist places in the state. We were in that.
Then they called
Red
you
headbands,
savage.
blue headbands, and within
Yeah.
our own people, we were
Yeah.
criticized,
Yeah.
called assholes and moccasins from our own people.
Yeah. And savages. Yeah.
Yeah, that was confusing. I said, gee, and these are BI people saying things like that.
Yeah.
We're in a world of, like confusion, unbalance and stuff, and you wonder yourself, is that the way I want to be? How am I going to get away from all of this?
Yeah.
All right. What's going to transpire? Anyway, the blame that I was giving and blaming on the system wasn't working for me.
No.
And I still didn't know how to pray,
Yeah.
but I knew how to be very defensive about what people say to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I still feel that way.
Yeah.
And I've always felt going to feel that way. Please don't call me an Indian.
Yeah.
I'm a Lakota, I'm a
Hey,
Lakota. I'm tired of you calling me an Indian.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to call me, use that word, use it properly. It's Indios.
Yeah.
So
Indios.
there's a radical. He's a radical. He thinks he knows everything.
Yeah.
Walking around,
And
headband,
savages.
braids on, and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so what transpired over the years was that association, and it comes at you in ways that you have to learn to absorb it now. So you learn to listen carefully. Go back to that advice that those old guys used to say, I'm going to tell you something. Learn how to listen, you'll learn something.
Oh.
And so I take that advice and utilize that to any students that want to learn. I say, well, I'll tell you something and I hope you learn from it.
Yeah.
But you got to learn to listen. Sit still, stay focused, and let's talk about it.
And the
And it's very
graciousness.
effective for me.
Yeah. And the graciousness that you applied that.
Yeah,
That
you don't start hollering at them and says,
No.
You use that positive thing.
Oh.
And I made a song about that,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was thinking about the other day how things that we see are today, and it goes back to what they call ikpazo. When people enter the hochokan, what we regard as hochokan.
Oh.
And we come into that arena, that philosophy that all the things you put aside. This is a time to get away from all the negativity, enjoy yourself, your friendship, kolakichia, and enjoy yourself. Even if it's just for a couple of days, or maybe just one day.
Yeah, altar.
So you step into this ground that's regarded as being ochoka, waka. Well, you sit there and you observe, and you see children running across it, or you see people walking across it to get a shortcut.
Yeah.
And so you sit there and say, how much education do we have to present to get people to understand that if we're going to practice these cultural ways, we need to be taught? No one's teaching them those things. Yeah. I'll give you an example. We set up at the United Tribes for a powwow, and then you can use horns.
Mm-hmm.
You can set up your own sound system. So when we got there, we're setting up our system and everything was ready to go. So I told my brother, I said, Miso, I said, Omo chanta inashi. He said, anakop to nashi. I said, it's namach antash. He said,
see how it sounds,
So he went all the way around. He didn't go across. He went all the way around. And he stood the opposite where we were sitting at. So, Miso, namach. He raised his hands.
Hello.
And so I said, I said, Gu, I said, brother, I said, Taco Chicha Kinkton. He stopped me. He said, thank you. I said, I love you.
Oh, it's that.
How many people get to hear men say that at that time?
Yeah.
And so when he got back to the drum, we hugged each other. And somewhat of an imprint occurred. These guys, they call them Red something, they're Red Bull singers. And then on the other side was the Cinnamon singers. There was a small drum group down. McKinney's, or they're all short guys there. They had a drum group. Cinnamon Juniors or something like that.
Oh yeah. Curtis and his twin. Curtis and his twin.
And they come over and they shook our hands.
Sunoya,
The other
Dakota.
drum, when they done this other drum, these guys came over and they shook our hands.
Yeah.
People come over and they shook hands. They said, that was wonderful to hear you, that you loved your brother. You know, but in our language, techiela is the best way to say,
I love you.
that love is something we learned in English,
Yeah.
but it still pertains to what we are able to express. But
I'm stingy of you. I'm stingy of you, eh?
No, techiela means I cherish you.
I cherish you. Okay.
There's no one,
above. Yeah. Okay. How adjective.
So here's these two worlds coming together with one word.
Uh-huh.
So when people ask me, how do you say love in English?
Yeah.
I said, well, one way is to turn off all the lights and we'll see what happens. And then the other one is
relax now.
Learn a new
Settle
word.
down. Well, you know what they say when you're Dakota, how you say I love you in Dakota? I dove you. Then if you're Nakona and you say I love you, you say I love you. But us Lakota, when we say I love you, we say I love you.
Don't start with the donuts. Huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
the donuts next.
So the beginning of that is that period in your life where somebody else notices that you're not well, you're not balanced.
No.
You are not going to be able to do anything until you do something with that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so my missus said, you need to go to treatment.
Oh.
She sent me.
Yeah.
All right. So then that's when I started to realize this acceptance of other people's knowledge.
Oh, yeah, I like
it
that
took
word.
a while, but I made a song about that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so one of the advices I was given is that when you go home, for 1 year, do not go back to your friends.
Yeah.
And in my friendship, we all took care of each other. We ran around together. We went places. We always made sure that we found each other. That it was our kolak, even though it was, in the English groupies. Yeah. So anyway, so not knowing any better and excited to go see them. I see them all at this guy's house.
Yeah.
And so I drove my car over there and I walked in. And when I walked in, everybody got quiet.
Knowing what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Before I didn't follow that advice.
Yeah.
The first thing somebody said is, are you here to preach to us?
Yeah.
They already knew,
How?
And so what I was told and what I experienced at that time, I had to make a decision. And the right thing to do for me was to incorporate what I had learned younger days and then what I had been taught in treatment. So I know that I said, no, I just came up to say, I'm really happy to see you guys. I said, I feel a lot better now. I said, but I come and just to tell you, I'm happy to see you. And I shook all their hands. And I says, I hope to see you again. And I says, but have a good life. And I walked out of there. So I made that commitment then and there and took the advice, even though it was short, to listen right away. And to this day, I think there's only one person alive of all that group of people that.
Yeah, because of their behavior.
Yeah, their lack of understanding that balance and harmony, that wola kota that I need to find, that peace. So in the songs they say wola kota, I find that harmony, find that peace. But it's a daily struggle. And it's really encouraging when it comes back and it compliments you. And like you said earlier, you don't want to brag, but I was able to sing for the 5th grade graduation yesterday at the school.
Oh, watch that.
I was a little leery and my legs did get wobbly because I was standing up there for a while.
Too bony.
Anyway, so, so one of my young people that sang with me in the earlier days was a young fellow from Fort Yates here. And he told people, he said, this learning process that these guys are here singing with and what we teach at the school, he said, He said, I learned to sing from Mr. Bullet too.
Oh,
You know, this is years
your
going back.
legacy. Your legacy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to.
So, but the way I perceive that, looking at that, is that you do the best that you can. The rest will just come around as it comes. Yeah.
Affording,
anyway,
affording them the right of their own integrity, Chia.
Yeah.
That's what you've done. Yeah.
My biggest question now is that I have the time to start doing what I got to do, finish. So it's Takanka Wichakua Okola Chia. Is that what you guys chose for your name, or you just keep it short?
What we refer to ourselves comes from the Assiniboine people, Wantapebi. Now, how you share that with us, that's what we will be.
Okay.
On that song that you're making.
Yeah. Okay.
Tanka Kuapi, what'd you call it?
It's Wichakua.
Wichakua.
Yeah.
Oh, the man's hunting the buffalo.
Yeah. The only woman that I ever knew that was famous in our area was Old Lady Crawler. She would participate in Little Bighorn.
Yeah. She had that war bonnet. Yeah. She earned it, actually. Yeah.
So Okolakichia means your society.
Your buddy is all your
those
group.
are involved in it.
Okolakichia.
Oh, so
okay. Now, and that's what that's going to be named.
Okay.
That song you're making. That's what we're going to call ourselves.
Oh, cool.
Is that cool or what, Toshka?
Oh, Snealo, man.
Oh, really cool. He said, oh, Snealo, that's cool.
I try to teach his kids to use the word cho snee.
Cho snee, man. Heck yeah. Yeah, cool.
Anyway, I didn't want to talk that long.
No, you did good, brother man. That's what we want to kind of convey, is to help people understand the beauty in just representing that common manness, eh? And at the college, we're trying to present that in a venue that would be acceptable and inclusive of all of our community, the whole community. And again, just like Dalai Lama said, if you can't be kind to them, please don't hurt them. Eh? And because you see that going on so many times, and you can even apply that to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't hurt yourself. Does that make sense? Is that cool or what? See, the beauty in that whole philosophical approach is up to us to understand what were we here for? What do I represent other than myself? And as we do these things, you come to realize you represent not only yourself, but your family, your tribe, and your community. And guess what? Utmostly, you represent this higher power. Whatever you humble yourself to when you go and you have these heartfelt cries based on the needs of others, you're wishing for good things from them. And in reference to prayer. Okay? And so we're not preaching. Please don't take it like that. But what we're doing is sharing an ideological paradigm shift. It needs to occur. It needs to happen at some point. And we started right from the beginning, and we've come a long way. All of you students that have listened to all of these, and if you haven't, go back on YouTube and pick up the ones you missed. But realize this is provided to you to help us get through. In spite of this virtual experience, I know Chia and myself, we'd love to do this in person. It has, you could feel that goodness exuding from my Chia, because he's like he said, he's impacted and influenced. Like he talks about our brother, eh? Tom is a Vietnam veteran. He earned that right to put the SA on the back of Wee Cha, eh? Wee Cha Sha. When you put that essay on the back of that Wee Cha, that means you accomplished something that brings dignity and honor to your family. My older brother here, Nietzsche Ole, he's done something that impacted our people in such a good way. He can be referred to as Wee Cha Sha as well. And through that, we need to understand the milestones that we're acquiring through this thoughtfulness, through this gratitude for just being able to breathe again on another day, and not taking it for granted, but taking that and sharing our strength with others through this compassion, this empathy, this generosity, this patience, this caring, this sharing, this loving. The word love, hey, I cherish you. In Nakona, I think when they say I love you, it means I'm stingy of you. That's kind of how they interpret that in Nakona. And so it doesn't actually say love as it relates to that. And then one of the words I've used as a result of this understanding when in reference to love is if I define love as acceptance. Okay? That just opens it up and doesn't put any conditions on my emotions towards you or against you or anything. But it's if I accept you, you can say and make reference, I love you. So it's kind of like that. And the beauty in which Assiniboine Juniors, Curtis, and those folks there from Manitoba shared with my brother about, oh man, that's beautiful. Yes, it is. And people actually live like that. We actually think like that. But yet it's so personal that we don't go and virtual signal it. We don't go and do that. And like I said, we'd probably be more open, hey, Chie, if we were personal, if we were in person, hey? And again,
Well, the other aspect of this, you got to learn how to say it with the proper sentiment, you know.
yeah.
I practiced that many times and I had a hard time. It just came out silly or, oh, don't talk to me like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, love you.
I
And then,
love you.
You're just playing with the word now.
Yeah. Now, you're just saying that because you want something. I know. That old Indian trick kind of. Nope, I'm teasing, of course. But you see, and that's what this whole thing is about. And understanding the importance of that representation. When you look inwardly, look into where that love comes from, your heart. And that's where we heal. And in most cases, we don't recognize what historical or cultural trauma has done to the indigenous people. And if you get a kind of a little concept and an idea, do we want to be part of the problem or part of the solution? I much rather be part of the solution. And so we do things like this as it relates to this COVID, this pandemic that's coming around. That's why we're doing this like this. We need to remain connected. We need to share this information. And as much as we'd love to be in person, we're taking the next step. That's why we share the wachekia. Those words are for y'all, not for me. Give me the Powerball numbers so I can have millions. That's what I'd be praying about. Let me win at the machine over at PKC, me and Earl. Next. But it's for other than yourself. And then through that, you gain the understanding based on that wachiada, that belief or that faith, that it will come back to you. Don't expect it, but it will come back just because, again, you're adding that positivity to that spiritual entity that is there, the hochokan that my brother referred to. We call that an altar, and that's what he was talking about, that sacredness of what the center represents to us. It's not just a center with a pole sticking out of it or a buffalo head sitting. No, it's an altar. It's a place we need to afford that an opportunity to be able to respect it. And then that says lots about us, and even more so about our teachers. We mentioned our teachers, remember? And again, that's that humbleness that we share. And Earl mentioned his teachers, even in his search for guidance through treatment. His wife referred him there. If he didn't love his wife, he wouldn't have done that. And so look at that act of love, act of caring and sharing. That's the beauty. What do you think that, Tushka, Elijah? What's on your mind there, boy? You're just kind of concerned. And oh, man.
Plunging it all up, man. Pondering it all. I think, I think just listening is, like Phil was saying earlier, is important. Some people from my generation, I was listening to another speaker the other day. It's just our generation and our my generation's kids. We've been somewhat disconnected with self-respect, and then teaching our children respect. So I've been thinking about that, and part of that is just listening. I know you talked about listening to the teacher in the room, so I think that's just something I try to practice. And I think hopefully our students, when they are able to gather like this or in person, are able to
turn it down,
practice that part of learning. And there was another thing I wanted to mention. It was more of a less an announcement I forgot to mention, but there's a drum making workshop coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's that opportunity for our students. I'll be making a flyer here shortly. We got to sit down and kind of hash out the details between Earl and yourself and me, and we'll figure out the exact time and if it's a 1 or 2 or 3 day workshop, and then man, we'll have Uncle Earl in person in the house.
Yeah.
And we'll be
Lee, Toshka Lee.
Yeah. And then maybe do some sharing a little bit on the drum making history and whatnot. So that's a good opportunity for our students that are on the call to kind of mark your calendars. I want to say the second week in August, but we'll put a flyer out shortly. So
and then
I have one question. Did you guys ever order some of those books or get a hold of them?
That's on my to-do list, man. I got to do that.
That's one of the things. And again, all of the students that when you involved yourself in this experience, we just started this. This is something new to the college itself. Although they've had cultural advisors before, but we've taken it a step further than that. And so as we go, we're wishing to introduce again singing and dancing, but probably not until next fall. I think, Elijah, would be a little bit appropriate. Give us time to kind of prepare for that throughout the summer. But we're going to go out and video all of these things as it relates to land-based teachings, and any of the students involved or interested would like to come along, to be more than welcome. But we're definitely going to archive it through our videos as well. And then I was thinking that in that, I think it needs to be like 3 or 4 days, because we want to introduce ceremony too, like the name giving ceremony. We'll have a sweat. Dylan will make us a sweat and all that good stuff. And you don't have to go in if you don't want to, but you could sit out there and help us understand these things. But we'll get those names appropriately. And if anybody wants any names, I know that Toshka Elijah's got a couple that he would like to name as well. And if anybody wants a name, it's not particularly an Indian thing, hey? For those of you that may know, Custer had an Indian name. What'd they call him? Pehi Huska? Yeah, long hair. And that was his reference to him. That's what they referred to him as, And so all of these things, so don't deny yourself an opportunity to be acknowledged in a good way by your friends, by your allies, the Dakota, the Lakota people. And again, we're more than welcoming you, opening our arms, sharing our cultural value system and all that to help you understand how we think, how we feel, how we talk. And we're always, like my uncle would say, he doesn't talk Lakota in public because he thinks they'll think we're talking about them. He said, I don't want to embarrass them. And so he would never do that. Did you ever notice that about Shep Chie? He would never talk Lakota in public. And that was the reason why, because he was thinking of others, And so I made that observation. And so, oh man, it's just a beautiful thing, the way we choose to live. And again, why do you guys live out here in this isolated area called Fort Peck Res? Well, because our relatives are buried here. This is where our relations are. So we choose to stay here in spite of the conditions. We make it good, whatever they are. I remember hauling water way back when I was young. We don't have to do that no more. So I'm just happier and heck when I can take a shower and turn the faucet on and get a drink of water. Oh man. If you don't understand that, yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever have to dig a hole for outhouse?
I was telling that story this morning. My grandma, she needed a hole dug, as outside her house, and she hired a couple of these guys, these that drank a lot. They used to call them winos. She said, "Come over here, boys, and dig me a outhouse hole, and I'll buy you half a gallon." Okay, Auntie, they said. Pretty soon they were digging for a while, and about an hour. So she went out there and she looked, and here that guy was standing in that hole. Jesus, about up to his chest, Auntie, is this deep enough? She said, "Oh, yes, that's deep enough, my boy. I'll run downtown and get you half a gallon. You guys can go." I said, "Okay." So they went and she got that half a gallon. They come up and they come over there and they picked up their half. "Oh, thank you, Auntie." And they left, She went to go see that hole. Here, that guy was kneeling down in that hole. That hole was only halfway deep. She was really mad. But yeah, we had to. You know that paper? You go like this with that paper. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. You ever do that, Elijah? I know Earl did. He's smiling around because you take that paper and you rub it together like this. You soften it up.
Oh.
Kind of spit on it a little bit too. You know?
It's really cold out.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, that's way back in the day. But
and there's cracks in the walls too. So
yeah. Oh, breeze would be coming through there. Oh, just freeze you out, man. Oh, correct. But
one other thing, while you're on the topic, was so for this event, we do have student housing available. So let's say you took a couple classes, and then even if you haven't registered for a course this summer, if you don't live here and you want to come check it out, just shoot me an email, ehopkins@fpcc.edu, or just give us a call, put some on Facebook. Just let us know. We can make accommodations for you. We do have a visitor's lodge and we have a student dormitory. So we'll put you up, man, treat you like a king, and we'll let you join us for free. And if we get overwhelmed, if we're full, I know Tommy's got a floor, you know.
No, I got that 53 Chevy sitting out in my yard. That's my guest house.
Yeah, got the trunk of that, and then we got some TV, so we'll figure out something for you.
Got curtains on all the way around on all the windows too, so you get privacy. Old res guest house right there, I'll tell you. Oh, wala makadushita.
Mitakepi hanana pekte doksta ke wachiaka pikte.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiebino yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo wata pebi agi ktabi ichachi ya bino